Welcome to the Views Unfolded podcast, episode 3, Living to Work or Working to Live. Today I'm sitting in Maria Theresienplatz in Vienna, Austria. In this episode, I want to touch on a subject that has been on my mind a lot these last few years, especially since the pandemic. Even though COVID brought a lot of sadness to the world, I feel like it also brought us to question a lot of systems and how we live our lives in general. But more specifically, it led me to understanding the benefits of being in the stillness rather than in the hustle. This led me to deeply question, are we living to work or are we working to live? We as a society, we seem to be so programmed to celebrate constant hustle and success that comes with a career, and on the contrary, we look at people with disappointment when they haven't achieved certain career goals in life. We immediately tie it to their personality and worth as a person instead of it just being a job and a career. I'm guilty of this as well, so don't worry. I used to think like that a lot a while back because it was somehow installed in me that it's the right way to think. I thought that it would somehow bring me motivation to achieve my own goals in life, when in fact it just brought me self judgment and anxiety for that matter. And honestly, it wasn't until recently that I understood that my worth doesn't tie at all to what I do as a profession. My worth as a person comes completely from what's in my heart and my mind rather than what I do for a living. And I feel like for so long, the society has taught us to tie our self worth to our jobs and our accomplishments. It's as if what we do is the ultimate measure of who we are as people. But over time, we're seeing a shift in how we define success and self worth. I think that more people are realizing that their value doesn't come from their job or their salary, but from the person they are, the kindness they show, and the growth they experience. I mean, sure, you can have a job that serves people and does good in this world, but it shouldn't be what defines you. You shouldn't lose yourself to a job title. It's funny that every time you meet someone new, or even when meeting up with someone you already know, the most prominent question seems to be, so, what are you working on these days? And when you tell them something that's not up to their standard, you get instantly judged and pitied somehow. But then again, maybe we're also just projecting our judgments on ourselves through them because we don't feel enough in what we're doing. When we project our self judgment onto others, it can be damaging not only to our mental health but also to the relationships. It's almost like a defense mechanism. If we're already judging ourselves, we expect others to do the same. So we get ahead of them and we judge ourselves first. And this constant fear of judgment can distance us from others and make us feel like we're never truly enough. But the truth is, we need to free ourselves from these projections by recognizing that our self worth comes from within and not from any external validation. It's only when we stop this cycle of self judgment that we can begin to show up authentically in our relationships and feel at peace with ourselves. So, looking at it from a different perspective, People can only judge you or make you feel judged when you're not 100% confident and in tune with the thing in question. Imagine you instead saying, I work at a bar, but I really love it there and it makes me feel great. And it gives me time to actually live my life outside of work. Imagine someone judging that. Well, then it's just a reflection of them as a person and the fears they hold themselves. I actually feel so bad now for ever having judged people for what they work with. As bad as I feel for also having been so hard on myself to meet my own standards. But you can't know what you haven't learned yet, so that's why we do the inner work. And I'm also realizing as I speak that we should probably hold space for the person that is judging us because they're not doing it with ill intent. Rather, it's just something that is installed in them, just like it was installed in myself. So recently, I've been understanding that we've got it a bit twisted. Most of us are living to work rather than working to live, which defeats the whole purpose behind why we're working, which is usually to make money. And even if you're working with something that you love, at the end of the day, it's a job. And you wouldn't be doing it as a job if it didn't bring you the funds. It would just be a hobby or something you would do simply to enjoy or to volunteer. Sure, it's wonderful to love what you do, but that shouldn't come at the expense of living your life outside of it. Bear with me on this thought process. Let's just break it all down for a moment. So, if we think of it as just a job that makes you money and not something that holds so much depth to it, you would look for that depth in things that actually matter to you. We wouldn't spend our whole week just working with something that we don't really enjoy at a deeper level, and then only spend the weekends doing the things that we actually love. Because let's be honest, how many people do you know that has a full-time job and has the energy to do things after their workday? Probably not so many. That's also why people tend to plan in coffee dates a whole week in advance when in fact it's just 1 hour of their life. So now that I've made the whole work concept lose the deep value, I'm asking the question, what if we started giving that worth and energy to ourselves, to things that nourish our soul beyond work? So let's rebuild the whole concept again. First off, I really hope you have the possibility to choose a job that you do enjoy and that the hours you spend there are not making you question your whole life. But even if you are working at a place that you're not enjoying, that doesn't define you. The ideal thing to do here would be to actually work with something that you feel rather okay with. If it's not your passion, then at least it makes you the funds and gives you the time and energy to enjoy your passions outside of work. I know you're probably questioning everything now and the structures we've built as a society, and you're asking yourself, okay, what now? But I think that's the purpose of this whole thing, to question it, break it down into pieces, and build it up correctly the next time. So, the root to all of this is that we should actually feel good with what we're working with. And if you don't have a passion for your job, but you feel good because it gives you a good life, then that's great. And if you're trying to hustle and burn yourself out because you think that you'll be less judged, reconsider why you're doing this in the first place. Is it just because you want to achieve societal norms? Or is it because you're chasing something that you really love and enjoy? So take a moment to ask yourself, what drives your ambition? Are you chasing societal approval or your own joy? And even if you are chasing something that you love and enjoy, are you valuing and making time for things outside of it? Are you fostering your relationships as well as a relationship to yourself? Fostering relationships outside of work is crucial, but so is maintaining a relationship to yourself. Things like self care, mental health, and personal time are just as important as any job, or I would say more important. And without taking the time to recharge, reflect, and care for ourselves, we actually risk burning out and becoming detached from what truly matters. It's not selfish to carve out moments just for you, whether it's through hobbies, meditation, or simply unwinding at the end of the day. These moments not only nourish your soul, but also make you more present in your relationships and more productive in your work. And I'm not saying don't work hard or don't hustle. I'm simply making you question why you're actually doing it and what actually makes you feel good. Also, consider that there are other ways to achieve wealth and abundance in life if that's what you want. If you stay true to yourself, you'll find the way that suits you and build the life that you desire. And to take myself as an example, I used to think that I want to work at an office, show up every day, be ready to take on the whole company, but I only needed one non healthy work environment to quickly realize that that's not what made me feel good. It wasn't just about the workload, it was a constant pressure to always be on and to perform at the highest level without ever showing vulnerability. And there was always this like unspoken expectation to prioritize work over anything else in life. For example, this one time it was my birthday and I was supposed to be working until 5 p.m. But then we had like a seminar that we had to listen into, even if we weren't being paid to do that. So then I got stuck at work until 8 p.m. And it was what was expected of me and what I thought was expected from myself as well. When in fact, why would I stay there until 8 p.m.? That's crazy. So there was also a lack of support and understanding from, well, the company management, and didn't really understand that life actually happens outside of work, not at the office. And when you're in an environment like that, it's easy to lose sight of your well being. And before you know it, you're drained and questioning your self worth. What I realized would instead make me feel good would be doing something that I have fun while doing with people I enjoy working with. So I had to break down the idea of what work meant for me and release the fear and judgment behind it. I'm still in process, but what I do know now is that I don't care what anyone else thinks about how I spend my day anymore, and that life shouldn't be about working and all the other things in life shouldn't revolve around your work. It should revolve around the relationships you build, the growth you do in your experiences, and instead enjoying the money you make from your work. Of course, the reality is also that right now things are tough in the job market, that we don't have a lot of options to choose from, and we should be happy to even be able to make ends meet. But at least we've come to a time where we have the option to learn online. We can learn new things for free, can find a community of people we enjoy, perhaps even utilize all the knowledge online and build something for yourself if you want to be creative. The idea is to just not let our work define us. And even if we enjoy the work we do, you are a person outside of the things you do for a living. You get to choose how you want to experience life. And at the end of the day, your work supports your life. But your life should be about so much more than just work. So, with that being said, I hope this made you either question or acknowledge your beliefs in order to choose a better experience for yourself. And as you go about your day or your week, ask yourself, are you living to work or are you working to live? Thank you for listening to this week's episode, and don't forget to subscribe for next week's episode. Share your thoughts in the comments and let's discuss together.